Good evening, everyone. Today, we are here to discuss a critical analysis titled US Economic Recovery, Triumphs and Challenges in a Global Landscape. And I'm Surya, and alongside my team members, Yogesh, Yeshika, and Gagrin. We have sourced into economic aftermath of the American Rescue Plan and its impact on the international standings of the US economy. Our report Our report begins with a snapshot of the economic landscape, focusing on the remarkable speed of the US recovery, surpassing pre-crisis employment levels faster than in previous recessions. We have identified three key aspects shaping this recovery: a 5% surpassing of 2019 levels, lower core inflation compared to major economies, and a robust rebound in the US labor market. The United States initially faced rapid growth accompanied by high inflation rates, a global trend. However, in 2022, while the US improved, Europe experienced a surge in inflation, exacerbated by factors like natural gas prices and geopolitical events. Notably, core inflation rates in the US are below 4%, contrasting with figures exceeding 7% in the euro areas. In a nutshell, our report highlights the US economic recovery resilience amid global shifts despite challenges. The US outshines its counterparts in the G7, showcasing a notable GDP gap and a robust labor market. As we conclude, we recognize enduring challenges and offer recommendation for the US to navigate uncertainties. We emphasize international collaboration, fiscal prudence, responsive economic policies, sustainable investments, and target labor market reforms. In this dynamic global landscape, understanding the intricacies of economic dynamics becomes imperative for resultant and adaptive strategies. Thank you for your attention, and we welcome any questions or discussions on our findings. Now, I would like to invite Isika to deliver her part.
Thank you, Surya. Hello, everyone. I am Yashika Sachdeva, and today I'll be talking about the topic inflation. First, let's talk about factors contributing to inflation. There is aggregate demand and fiscal stimulus. The US Fiscal Stimulus Act raises public spending, causing the economy's aggregate demand, that is AD, to increase. When demand exceeds supply, businesses may decide to raise prices, which would cause inflation. And there is external factors and energy prices also. Discord in external factors such as energy cost and trade agreements. And inflation rates can be impacted by changes in the cost of imported and exported items, particularly food and energy. Uh, can we have the next slide? Yeah, causes of inflation and US EU divergence. The causes of inflation are factors contributing to inflation. Reserve Bank of Australia. There is divergence in US EU inflation trajectory, which is EU's conservative fiscal strategy in pandemic recovery. Moderate fiscal expansion in the EU reduces inflationary pressure. Uneven but consistent economic recovery in the EU, and the last one is current indications suggest higher inflation in the US than the EU. Next slide, please. Thank you. Strategies for inflation reduction and economic stability. Let's talk about fiscal measures, targeted spending, allocate funds towards innovation, infrastructure, and education, boost production and supports long-term risk-free and economic growth. Strengthening international trade, fortify trade links, strengthen international trade connections and partnerships, and also enhances economic stability by diversifying markets and reducing dependence on specific regions. Thank you. That's my part. And now I would like to invite Green.
Thank you, Yoshika. So my topic is monetary policy and economic disparities, US versus Europe. Next slide, please. So both US and Europe implemented similar monetary policy, specifically raising interest rates. So their idea was to increase the interest rates. Impact on economies differed, showcasing the nuisance effects of monetary decisions. Central bank decision influence borrowing costs for businesses and consumers. GDP growth and money supply. So in both of the countries, GDP and economic indicator reflects the overall health of the economy. US experienced 4.9 growth linked to an increase in the money supply. Low interest rates facilitated this increase, stimulating economic activities and contributing to higher GDP. Currency value, exports, and confidence. Relationship between money supply, currency value, and export explained. Decline in currency value can enhance export competitiveness, potentially boosting GDP. Liquidity, the availability of funds fosters confidence, encourages spending, and contributes to economic growth. Next slide, please. So the impact of monetary policy and growth, investments and spending. Lower interest rate resulting for an increase in the money supply encourage investment by businesses and individuals. Increased spending by consumers and businesses can lead to higher aggregate output and demand contributed to economic growth. Currency depreciation and exports. A decline in currency value spurred an increase in money supply, which made the country exposed competitive in the global market. Higher the export and higher was the real GDP, which facilitated both the countries. Consumer and business confidence, expansion of money supply that boosted overall liquidity and the economic activities in both the countries. Thank you. Now I will invite Yogesh for his part. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So the topics that I have covered for this particular part of our group project are trade shocks and economic performance and productive reallocation and recovery post-pandemic. So first we'll be talking about this topic of trade shocks. So the article that we took into consideration for this study of ours is about understanding the factors behind the superior performance of United States in comparison to the European Union, despite both adhering to the capitalist economic model. Notably, the US exhibited a robust annual growth of like 4.9, while the EU faced near zero growth. Although long-term GDP per capita comparisons show similar results for both regions, the recent growth disparity highlights the specific drivers of the US economic upswing. Examining the response of the budgetary matters reveals announced differences in the policy substance. The US prioritized jobless allowances, offering substantial support to those who are unemployed, while Europe focused more on wage substitution programs for temporarily laid off employees. This disparity, combined with the wage comparison in US, led to higher savings and increased purchases, distinguishing it from the euro. So notably, the term of trade shocks played a pivotal role in shaping trade balances, with the EU expected to face a deficit in 2022 despite its historical surpluses. While the US remains relatively stable, however, the explanatory power of this factor is questioned, as the EU's negative terms of trade shock in 2022 did not translate into outperforming the US in 2023. So in summary, while the fiscal policy disparities are crucial to the understanding that the US economic growth relative to the EU, other factors such as terms of trade shocks and labor market dynamics also play significant roles. Now, talking about productive reallocation, that would be my second topic for this project. The article explores the significant economic divergence between Europe and the United States and their recovery after post-pandemic, COVID pandemic. So the primary focus is on the contribution of fiscal policies to this gap. The strongest performance of the US economy is ascribed to be notable growth in household investment and consumption. Although the recovery in both regions began stronger than anticipated, the paper reveals a crucial difference in fiscal strategies. In contrast to the EU, the US implemented a more extensive fiscal stimulus program, leading to a higher increase in the government's primary deficit. As per the article, the concept of the productive reallocation pertains to potential enhancements in economic efficiency when labor and other resources are utilized more efficiently. It is crucial to note that the article allows room for interpretation and additional research as it lacks a concrete proof of instance of this method in action. According to the theory of productive reallocation, over time, the labor and resources freed up tend to flow into industries with greater growth potential. Changes in consumer behavior, global demand, or technological advancement could stimulate job growth in emerging markets. In conclusion, to the study of this article, while the concept of productive reallocation is intriguing, the article addresses it only hypothetically. It underscores the importance of understanding how economics adapt and reconstruct in response to unforeseen events, emphasizing that crucial actual data is necessary to support the theory and make specific assumptions about its influence on the economy. Thank you so much.